Travis Wayne Goodsell, 4-hour tour. So, everybody was having problems today. The bank, which took me normally 5 minutes, took 50. And then on the way home, interestingly, at the corner where a Trump loyalist or a Trump scam artist is selling Trump merchandise there on our vacant lot corner. Get him, Trump, get him! He's making a profit off of you! Not giving you any of the royalties. There was a car accident or a car chase that ended up, as I was riding by, a woman who had a pronounced belly but no side nor any other. So am I safe in assuming she's pregnant, or am I going to get in trouble for guessing? But she was young and she was handcuffed, and there were officers all over the street blocking it off. So I don't know what happened. I didn't really see any car damage. There was one car that was parked against the pole, but it didn't look like it had actually crashed into it. Just looked like he was trying to pull off the road and use the pole to stop him. And the other lady was clear on the other corner where I drove by. So if those end up being in the news, you'll know that's what happened. So yeah, they get bored out here in West Valley City. They tend to hang out at the donut shop, so they were probably right there. So the song that I was trying to figure out was the 5-man electric band. And if it sounds like an old 60s band, you are correct. Signs is the name of the song. Signs, signs, everywhere are signs. Locking up the innocent and throwing away the key. And so, because I missed Ari, I decided, well, I'll just watch a couple episodes of Bull before I get into Chris Hayes and Rachel tonight. So, do I have a topic? I always have lots of topics. I have a whole binder full of post-it notes of topics. I noticed milk is rising. It's now $2.40. And that's not good because it was showing to be the sale price. What I'm very concerned about, though, is they're not ordering extra Monsters cereals for October. We're now at October 13th. Just 3 weeks, sort of, less than 3 weeks, because of 31st and 13th. But they got the one pallet in way in the beginning of September, and that was all she wrote. Then I tried looking for the hand sanitizer, and they didn't have the bulk, and they didn't label properly the stuff that was shelved. And nobody bothers to follow the arrows anymore. Everybody just does their own thing again. And it's only frustrating when you're the one who's the only one following the arrows. And so that's, I guess, maybe what I should talk about, as we're already at 5 minutes, is what is following the rules versus being compelled or forced to obey. When there are traffic lights, for example, we have the cops blocking off traffic, it's necessary to follow the police officers, as you're supposed to have a traffic cop, which they didn't get. And the traffic cop is supposed to direct you as to who can travel when and which direction. And the grocery store, they purposely narrowed the aisles so that they can squeeze more shelving so that they can make more room for the self-checkouts, which they didn't make enough room. But, to make things easier for people so that people can have life, liberty, and property. That's what law is for. When law is designed to take away life, liberty, and property, then what the hell is law for? I don't want to be a part of law and order, which, by the way, that's a white supremacist term. So when Republicans say, oh, you guys don't want law and order, and yeah, you just throw it back in their face. No, we don't want white supremacism. The Constitution was intended to be general. The laws were intended to be general. They are not supposed to be specific, where you have to have a law to protect any of the pluses at the end of LGBTQ. Why are you guys putting pluses? What are you doing? And so as a result, I can come up off the top of my head dozens of different other pluses, which I'm surprised Republicans haven't come up with them to mock the LGBT community. Because that's what I'm concerned about, guys. You're taking this a little too far. That's how things get ruined for everybody. For example, why aren't heterosexuals included with your group? See where Republicans can get you? And so if you have to make new laws forbidding discrimination against each and every single plus that somebody comes up with, and you know that somebody comes up with a plus originally because you were being bullied by conservatives. They're the ones that tend to be the bullies, the white supremacists. Then you have to then make a new law with each new bullied group. And until a new law is created, the bullied group continues to be bullied. No, there's no law saying I can't bully cheerleaders who wear glasses and a yellow ribbon in their hair. You see how extreme it can get? And obviously they would not be included in the LGBT community as a plus, would they? Unless their sexual identity has something to do with the yellow ribbon. I have no idea how it works. Sylvester Stallone had no idea how the 3 seashells worked. But that wasn't for sexual orientation. Sandra Bullock, what was it called? Can't remember now. Doesn't matter. if laws were to be maintained in the general sense, a person who's bullied, regardless of whether you were bullied for being black, bullied for being poor, bullied for being female, bullied for being LGBTQ+, etc., you can just report it to the police. The police would respond. The police would take it to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutors would prosecute it for you, and you would have justice, because the court of law would say, oh, okay, a human being had their rights to life, liberty, and or property deprived them. That's a crime. The defendant is guilty of the crime, therefore they are to be punished and restitution made to the victim. That's utopia. That was the intention of the Constitution. And yet, nonetheless, the enemy of our nation crept in, rose up to power, and chiseled away our laws, little by little, decade after decade, century after century now, too. Such that we are now in a state of confusion, as we have a president of the United States who's literally a terrorist, committing treason against his own people, with over 200,000 dead from the viral weapon he's using against us. And everybody's confused. Oh, how do we stop him? Oh, we'll vote him out. Again, the whole concept of law and order does not mean law and order. It's a white supremacist term. And so when the church steps in to say, hey, we don't like protesters. If you have a problem, take us to court. Which was a white supremacist thing for him to say, by the way. But he was using it in the term of the Black Lives Movement that's been going on lately. As he thinks that, oh, well, we'll just take them to court. Well, the police are the ones committing the crime. And so the police aren't going to take it to the prosecutors, and the prosecutors, therefore, aren't going to take your case to the criminal courts. So you then have to take it to the civil courts for your deceased loved one, slaughtered by the police officers who get to keep their job, and it comes out of the taxpayer money from the police department. If you win. And so, take it to court is white supremacist as a result, because white supremacists are in power. And then Oakes can also be referring to the many protesters within the church. The former bishop who tried to get the church to have the children's interview questions the same as the adult questions, rather than having the bishops go off the cuff and say, hey, so have you tried this masturbation technique? What's that? Daddy, he said he asked if I did this. What is that? And so, yeah, he was upset with the church, wanted them to get the bishops to comply and not be sexually explicit to little children. And so the church excommunicated him. How dare he protest? If you don't like the church, take him to court. Oh, is that what Oakes is telling us to do? I've been doing that, but not for any of those things. I've been doing it for sedition. That's the latest one now. Because I won the first one, but Judge Waddups said, oh, you were using an ad hominem, Travis, by pointing out that the church has an inverted pentagram all over Temple Square. Case dismissed with prejudice. Okay, you're now the seditious traitor. So Well, that's the newest one. The church is guilty of sedition. And so I did exactly what Oakes wanted me to, and that's why Oakes was saying, if you don't like what we're doing, don't protest. Take us to court. And he knows damn well I'm losing because they've got the courts rigged. And so then there was the issue of not liking bishops recording conversation, or bishops not liking being recorded, and stake presidents also, by members who were exposing the bishops and the stake president's corruption and refusing to care for their flock. As the church then responded by trying to get the state legislature to say, hey, no recordings on cell phones anymore. But that failed, and so the church then said, stake presidents and bishops, if somebody's complaining, call our hotline, and lawyers will help you as to how to protect the church over the member who's complaining. And of course the church denies it. Oh no, that's not what it's for. Yeah, and how many victims that have come to you for help been helped? Or how many of the abusers and the bullies are protected instead? Then there's ordained women, and apparently they don't know about Romans 16 from the original Greek, but nonetheless they are sick and tired of having the church follow the counsel of Paul, having the women silent in church, and so the church in response excommunicates ordained women leader. The church just doesn't understand. And as they have members of the church who keep doing Jewish Holocaust victims, the Jewish group in charge of keeping the church in check now, because they had to form a group now to keep the church in check, keep coming back to the church and saying, hey, you guys, you can't do our people's names. You need to respect us. Yeah, whatever. And so finally the church has prevented them and flagged them in the online version. And I don't understand what happened, because the former Mormon girl who was going to be made a partner on the show, Elijah Dushku, said that Michael Weatherly sexually harassed her, and then she got a settlement from CBS to pay her off, and then the Me Too movement occurred, and so she tried to say, oh yeah, me too, and then CBS was like, hey, wait a minute, we made a settlement arrangement, because it wasn't sexual assault, sexual molestation. She just claimed something, and I'm watching the show from the beginning, and up until she left, his character was promoted as awesome. So yeah, she seems to be part of the movement that tried to destroy the Me Too movement, as Smollett, if you remember him, also helped to ruin the movement, as he wasn't sexually molested. He just decided to throw in one day, pay off a couple of guys to beat him up, and then he can claim that he was beaten up because he was gay. Ruined his career as a result. Anyway, and so blacks as well in the church. Oakes especially is the one who loves to insult the blacks. as he did in this last conference. I haven't heard anything from the black movement trying to give them sensitivity training again. You do understand Governor Herbert is constantly taking sensitivity training, and it isn't working apparently. And so, yeah, the NAACP keeps coming back to the church and saying, hey guys, come on. You gotta be good. You can't be mean. You gotta word things differently. No, they need to... They're white supremacists. And then there's the poor. As Operation Rio Grande was to help the church keep the homeless from begging at Temple Square. And what a fiasco that was, as they now claim Operation Successful, or whatever Bush said it was. Mission accomplished. There we go. God. And so, what's it going to take for Mormons to say, you know what? I'm not finding any of these treatments towards anybody in scriptures to justify what the church is doing to all these different human beings. Why are they doing this to people as they claim to be listening and following Jesus Christ? They just did a slogan up until the new conference here in October about "Hear Him," because Nelson did a talk and he said, "Hear Him." And so they did a hashtag "Hear Him," make campaign, had all the apostles do how they hear Him, and apparently October conference comes around and they're still not hearing Him. I mean, seriously? I mean, Oaks literally had me yelling at the screen. He was so abusive. Unbelievable. So, yeah, it just... They just say stuff, and Mormons say, yay, living prophet, to guide us in these latter days as we die for listening to them. And that's what people aren't getting. With this coronavirus, my God, Mormons are literally dying and not holding the church accountable. I mean, this goes beyond what Oaks is doing by being racist and sexist, bigoted, as he has been in the past on other issues, and he still is. He just didn't speak on it this time. But, I mean, my God. And that's what I'm concerned about, because there are Mormons who, when confronted, they go, oh, yeah, oh, I guess that is the wrong thing to do. Lord, she was lovey-dovey. One bourbon, one scotch, one beer. Bull is making nice with the lawyer lady, which apparently, I can't remember, but something happened where he doesn't hook up with her, and as she's the replacement for Elijah Newscrew, and he ends up having a one-night stand with his ex as she was about to get married, or he already did. No, that was just a dream. So I have to keep watching. We're getting near the season finale where season 4 then began, that just ended. And so it should normally be in season 5. There's this whole coronavirus thing that Nelson is purposely doing on Trump and Governor Herbert, trying to have us all murdered. And Mormons still say, we thank thee, O God, for a prophet to lead us and guide us straight down to hell. If a prophet leads you to your death, whether physical or spiritual, He's not a prophet of the true God, who is the one who wants to give you life, not just on earth, but also in the afterlife. And that's the sad thing that I'm witnessing as a fellow Mormon among Mormons, the hot spot of Mormondom. The Lord of Punishment and Slavery. Saw Transformers, because I had done the Baby Come Back and reminded me of the video, and so I wanted to watch the movie. And so, yeah, To Punish and to Serve was the Decepticon police car. To punish and enslave. But that's the whole point with the Constitution, is it's not supposed to punish and enslave people so that people live their lives in fear. You know, what's the church going to punish me with now? You know, am I going to be the target this time in conference? Mormons can't live like that. The church leaders can't lead like that. You know, 11 million just said, I'm out. I want nothing more to do with this. Though they didn't take their names off the record, they just don't show up anymore. They're not paying tithing anymore. But the church doesn't need their tithing money anymore, because they get $7 billion automatically every year in interest, according to the whistleblower. So, it's very concerning that Mormons still try to change the church when it's clear old dogs can't learn new tricks. Silly rabbit, tricks are for prostitutes. I'm the originator of that joke. If anybody else uses that joke, you tell them to give me the royalties. I came up with that as a kid. When I first heard from my peers about prostitutes pull tricks or something like that, then it just inspired me while I was watching a Trix commercial with the Trix rabbit. Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. Oh, I mean, seriously, give the rabbits a bowl of tricks. Can't you share? Anyway. And then that reminds me of Brigham Young and his brothels. Yeah, the church history doesn't talk about any of that. They're on Regent Street or Commerce Avenue. So, my goodness, it was hot and stuffy in the house today when I came home. Alright.